When I open up Autodesk Inventor, I begin here at the home screen. Let's together create a CO2 car block. This will take 5 to 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less. So I have options here. I've got a new part, a new assembly, a drawing, and a new presentation. And of course, down here you can see my files that I've used in the past, right? And you may not have those on your screen, and that's not a big deal. What we want to do is select a new part file, and that's indicated by this little blue cube here. And so when I open that, I've got a blank white canvas ready to go, currently sitting in my 3D model tools, okay? Right here, this part 2 always begins kind of as this setup. And so as I build here, you'll get an idea what this looks like. I need to get a canvas with grid lines on it, a sketch that I can work from, because how Inventor works is we work in 2D and then we extrude into 3D. So I'm going to start out by starting a 2D sketch. All right, and I've got my selection pane here. Right, I've got different surfaces I could work on. We want to work in the XY plane. You would know the X and Y. You use the X and Y axes when you graph in math class, right? So here we go. I've got my X and Y axis. I've got my origin right here. So of course this would be quadrant 1. Notice the values down here on the counter are positive, positive. When I jump across the Y, we've got negative, positive. Quadrant 3, we've got negative, negative. Quadrant 4, we've got positive, negative. I like to work in quadrant 1. It doesn't really matter, but that's just my preference. We want to fix our grid line so that there are 4 blocks per inch. Currently, right now, if you count, we've got 8 blocks for every inch. We want to make it 4 blocks per inch. That's what matches our grid paper that we did our mechanical drawing on. So if I go to Tools, up here at the top of the ribbon, Document Settings. In Document Settings here, I can go to the Sketch tab, and we can make our major grid lines every 4 blocks. So that's going to give you 4 blocks per inch. I'm a fan also of backing this snap spacing down a little bit. Instead of every 1/16 of an inch, 1/16 is 0.0625. Let's make it every 1/8 of an inch, which is 0.125. And be sure to change those on both the X and Y axes. The other thing is, I'm going to come back over here to standard. They're using generic material as the physical appearance. Problem with that is it is not easy to notice where the CO2 cartridge is located. So of all things, I find it easiest to work with water, and you'll see why I choose that here in a little bit. We should also change our active lighting style. 1 light works best. So we're going active lighting style 1 light, material water. I'm going to say okay. And you can see my grid lines just updated on the screen here. So now I've got 4 blocks for every 1 inch of space. Okay. I've got to go back to currently I'm in my Tools tab. I'm going to go back to my Sketch tab. The CO2 car block is 12 inches long, 2 3/4 inches tall at the back, 3/4 inches tall at the front. So I'm going to start out with my line tool. I'm going to left click on the origin, and I'm going to go out to 12 inches. Now I can count grid lines on my screen, or I can use my counter right here at the bottom, and I can find there's 11 inches, 12 inches. So there's my first line, 12 inches long. The front is 3/4 of an inch, which is 3 blocks. The back of my block is 2 3/4 inches, or 2.750. And then I need to connect this to make a full shape. When I'm done with that, I can right click and say okay. And I'm going to finish sketch. So now I've got a hollow, I guess what would you call that? A quadrilateral, four-sided shape, right? Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to extrude it into 3D. So if I go to extrude, all right, and I'm going to go default direction here. The block is 1.5 inches in width. And I'm going to say okay. So there's my block. Should look familiar, right? And it's in 3D right now. I can twist the view cube and check it out, right? It's the exact same block we've seen. It's in water, so it's translucent. First of all, I like water because it's translucent. Second of all, I like it because it's blue in color, so it's easy to see, especially against the white background of the screen. I want to go to the left side view because that's where our engine compartment is going to be located. So I'm going to bring the view cube to the left view. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Notice I have it kind of centered on my screen here. And I'm going to add another sketch. I'm going to say Start 2D Sketch. And I'm going to come over my block and I'm going to left click on it. I get a set of grid lines. Again, right? So now I've got a new sketch. By the way, there's sketch 1. Now I'm creating sketch 2. I need to use the point tool. Really what I want to do is I want to drill a hole here. In order to drill, Inventor is going to need to know where I want to drill a hole at. So before I can drill, I've got to tell it where I want to drill. So I'm going to use the point tool for that. I'm going to get the point tool. I want to find my center line here. Notice how I'm centered, halfway between. So my line of symmetry, my vertical line of symmetry. And I know that from the bottom of the block, the center of the engine compartment is 1 1/4, 1.25. So that's 5 blocks. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you look, this will change to 1.25. Okay? I'm going to right click and say okay. That's all I'm putting on that sketch is just a point. From here, I'm going to drill my hole. So I'm going to use the hole tool. When I open the hole tool, I've got to look at my settings here. Right now, it's wanting to drill through all. If I do that, I'm going to drill the entire way through the block, which I don't want to do. What I want to drill is a specific distance. And what that does is that allows me to indicate to Inventor how far I want to drill. Right now, it's set at 1 inch. I actually want to drill at 2 inches. Okay, 2 inches. Here, I want my diameter to be 0.75. That's 3/4 of an inch. The diameter of the engine compartment is 0.75. I should indicate inches here. There we go. And I'm going to say okay. If you're not seeing this red circle here, you may have to go over and physically click on the center point, and then it will know where you want to drill. Inventor knows I want to drill there right now. And when I do that, I get my engine compartment, and it's tapered because of the drill bit. So there we go. There is my CO2 car block. All right, drilled and ready to go. Again, using water as your material makes it really nice to be able to see this engine compartment so that when you start drawing your side profile and top profile, you know where the engine compartment sits.